Monarchs, presidents, and prime ministers gathered by the scores at UN headquarters in New York this week for the General Assembly's annual high-level segment. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon set the stage for the 70th General Debate, calling on world leaders to translate promises on paper to action on the ground by backing a bold new sustainability agenda that aims to wipe out poverty and build a sustainable future for all.
Our aim is clear. Our mission is possible, and our destination is in our sight. An end to extreme poverty by 2030. A life for peace and dignity for all.
The 193-member General Assembly recently adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, along with a set of 17 new global goals, which replace the Millennium Development Goals expiring at the end of the year. The president of the Assembly's 70th session, Mons Liketoft, stressed that to realize these new goals, the world cannot rely only on the traditional growth model of the past 15 years or the past 70 years.
We underline more vigorously than ever that equal rights and opportunities for girls and women are crucial preconditions for a sustainable future everywhere. We recognize that each and every person has a legitimate demand for a decent life.
More than 150 leaders took to the podium with speeches focused on pressing global issues such as combating terrorism and fighting climate change. The biggest refugee and migration crisis since the Second World War took center stage at the UN, with a high-level meeting that provided an opportunity for member states to discuss the challenges and responsibilities associated with the crisis. According to the UN Refugee Agency, over 500,000 people, the majority of them refugees, have crossed the Mediterranean Sea this year in search of safety in Europe. While European countries have been struggling to deal with this influx, UN officials have stressed the responsibility of states to respond responsibly and humanely.
Migrants are human beings that need to see their human dignity and their human rights fully respected. And second, that states have the obligation of fully assuming their responsibilities in the protection of refugees in accordance to international law.
While acknowledging that there is no easy answer, the UN has urged countries to not only live up to their legal obligations, but also deal with the arrival of refugees and migrants with compassion and global solidarity.
There may be no simple solution, there is no magic wand, but there are a lot of things that we could and should be doing to make things better. To make things better for, above all, the people who are suffering so much, who are the migrants themselves.
With advances in medicine helping more people to live longer lives, the number of people over the age of 60 is expected to double by 2050 and will require radical societal change. This according to a new report released by the World Health Organization, WHO.
So the report tells us that populations are rapidly aging, but it also tells us very importantly that we are not necessarily healthier today than our parents and grandparents.
Contrary to widespread assumptions, the report finds that there is very little evidence that the added years of life are being experienced in better health than was the case for previous generations at the same age. The report also rejects the stereotype of older people as frail and dependent and says the many contributions that older people make are often overlooked.
One of the first things we need to do is overcome the many misconceptions there are about ageing. For example, often people think of a typical older person, whereas in fact older age is one of the hallmarks of older age is great diversity. You can have a very robust and active 80-year-old, but you can have somebody much younger who requires care and support.
The report stresses that governments must ensure policies that enable older people to continue participating in society and that avoid reinforcing the inequities that often underpin poor health in older age.